What did you eat for breakfast today? A muffin, a yogurt cup, a bowl of cereal? If I put frosting on that muffin, would you still call it breakfast? Or is that dessert at 7 a.m.? If cereal looks suspiciously like the candy aisle, well, you're not imagining it. Here's the truth. Breakfast isn't the most important meal of the day based on the time of day or the clever marketing using a cartoon tiger. It matters because it's how you break your fast. And how you do that can either stabilize your brain for the day or set you up for cravings, mood swings, or a third cup of coffee by 10 a.m. Stay tuned because we're going to expose how breakfast got hijacked, what it does to your body, and the real food that fuels focus. Let's first reset the definition. Breakfast is not a time of day. It's simply the first meal that breaks your fast. If you eat at 6:30 a.m., that's breakfast. If you intermittently fast and eat at noon, guess what? That's still breakfast. Why does it matter? Because after fasting, let's imagine that your body is like a dry sponge. Now imagine if you were to pour syrup on that dry sponge. It soaks, it drips everywhere. That's your blood sugar. If you were to add protein, fat, and fiber, that sponge would absorb more steadily. That stable energy creates for a calmer mood and better focus. It's why the first bite matters more than the time on the clock. Okay, so let's do some health coaching. The piece that most people miss is that breaking your fast isn't about food, it's about rhythm. Your body wakes up with a cortisol spike. It's natural. It's your built-in alarm clock. The best way to ground that signal isn't sugar, it's light. Morning sunlight in your eyes tells your brain it's daytime, make energy, set the clocks. So before you even think about what's on your plate, think about light. Get outside for a few minutes, sync with the day. Then when you do break your fast, choose food that carries life force energy. So eggs from a farm, berries in season, fresh greens, that's real energy for your cells. Fresh, local, and in season is best. Processed cereal and pastries, well, that's borrowed energy at best and a crash just waiting to happen. When did breakfast become frosting on flour? Well, I think the food companies had something to do with that. Because if we think about the homesteaders who came here to America, they broke their fast with what was on hand. Fresh eggs, beans that were simmered overnight, maybe cornbread baked from stone ground meal, but always something hearty enough to fuel a day in the fields. Native communities here had their own traditions too. Warm cornmeal, hominy stew, maybe fish or some venison, wild berries if they were in season. Simple, nourishing, tied to the land. Our ancestors started with food that carried them through the work of survival. So how did we end up with French toast stacks and rainbow marshmallow cereal? And to think I fed my kids that stuff. Let's go back to 1894. Dr. John Harvey Kellogg invents flakes as a stomach-friendly breakfast. The sales flop until his brother Will adds sugar and slaps frosted on the box, and suddenly America's hooked. By the 1960s, cereal companies were devoting nearly 90% of their ad budgets to children, adding toys in the boxes, cartoon mascots, and movie tie-ins. It was genius marketing. Get the kids to pester mom, and breakfast becomes big business. And let's not forget the diner side of the equation. Pancakes and waffles and other sweet pastries that fill the breakfast menu sell. We took European traditions, we upsized the portions, added more sugar, slather everything with sugar, and all of it got wrapped up in one big phrase that you've probably heard your whole life, part of a complete breakfast. Maybe carbs belong somewhere in the diet, but this is completely misleading because frosting before 9 a.m. is really a terrible way to fuel your brain. Here's what's happening inside of you. First thing in the morning, cortisol is naturally higher. If you dump sugar on top, you magnify stress hormones. You spike your glucose and then you crash. Can you say hello cravings or Hello, irritability. See, cortisol is supposed to spike in the morning. It's your built-in alarm clock. It raises blood sugar so you can get up and get going. But if you throw sugar on top of that system, you confuse it. Now you have blood sugar spikes, insulin rises, and cortisol gets shut down too quickly. So now by 10 a.m. you're crashing. That's why protein and fiber and healthy fat keep you steady. They let cortisol do its job without pulling the rug out from under you. Some people say, I don't do breakfast, I just have coffee. That was me for years. Here's the problem. Coffee isn't fuel. It's gasoline on your stress system. So cortisol is already high in the morning to wake you up. That's by design. Add coffee with no food, and you're asking your adrenals to keep you running on fumes all day. Sure, you feel wired at first, but you're burning stress hormones, not steady fuel. So by afternoon, the crash comes. Brain fog, cravings, irritability. And when you finally eat, you usually overeat because your body's been running on empty all day. That's why the best way to break your fast is definitely something with protein, fat, and fiber. So for protein, it could be eggs, Greek yogurt, chicken, beans, or possibly a smoothie with protein powder. For fiber, it could be chia seeds, flax seeds, berries, sprouted oats, greens. And of course, for our fats, it could be full-fat dairy, olive oil, avocado, or nuts. Some quick swaps to set you up for success. Instead of a sweet cup of neon-colored yogurt, choose plain Greek yogurt, add some berries and some flax. Instead of a toast or pastry, use sprouted toast with almond butter and some slices of banana. Instead of a bowl of cereal, try a half a serving of cereal. And of course, I have to bring up orange juice, that Health Halo cup of orange juice. It has about the same amount of sugar as a can of soda. So if you drink that straight, you've broken your fast with sugar water. I mean, if you love it, dilute it. Better yet, just eat the whole orange because fiber is what's going to make the difference. Where marketing gets sneaky is they'll use words like wholesome, nutritious, or protein packed, and it will still have 18 grams of sugar in it. So some cereals are even facing lawsuits for labeling themselves as nutritious while quietly driving up the risk for obesity and diabetes. Labels can be technically true and nutritionally unhelpful. So, other traps, all those granola bars with ingredients like propylene glycol in them to keep them moist, yogurt cups with more sugar in them than ice cream, that whole complete breakfast that shows pairing cereal with juice and white bread. I mean, that's just all sugar. So if your breakfast could pass as a birthday party dessert table, it's not breakfast, it's dessert. What do we need to eat instead? We need to keep it simple. Breaking our fast is important. It sets up our day for success. You can have some eggs and some greens. Make it scrambled or make an omelet. Make a kid's crunch bowl. Take some Greek yogurt, some chia seeds and berries. Drizzle in a little bit of maple syrup. Use your leftovers from last night's dinner. And if you're going to make something like French toast, use sprouted bread dipped in eggs, top with warm berries instead of syrup. I realize that sprouted oats and sprouted bread may be a new concept, so I'll record a future video on soaking and sprouting. Once we develop the new habits, none of these will take longer than the time it takes you to toast a waffle. And they give you stable fuel instead of a sugar crash. So here's my challenge for the week. This week, swap one sugary breakfast for a fat, fiber, protein meal. Notice how your mornings feel. And then share this video with another family. The ones still serving Pop-Tarts and calling it breakfast. No judgment, just better options. Because in the weeks ahead, we'll go deeper. Through my cooking classes, I will record some how to make eggs that even the kids can do. The truth about protein, or more ways to get protein at breakfast. And yes, Freedom Kitchen cooking classes are where your family can learn together. So subscribe, share, and stick around because breakfast doesn't have to be dessert. It can be the meal that fuels freedom.